Welcome to the first edition of Starting Lineup for 2014. I'm Jason Saghini, and with me, as always, is Andrew Wiebe.
We're back!
All right, we're excited to get another fantasy season going this year. We got a lot to get to in this first episode. I'm going to start with some leagues that you should be joining. You want to win some prizes? Join these leagues.
Yeah, the two you need to be in. Number one, what else? The Starting Lineup League. We're getting it going this year. We didn't do it last year. Big mistake. This time around, a classic league for you. At the end of each week, we'll toss that leaderboard up on the show, give you a little bit of props, give those winners something to look forward to at the end of the season. If you want head-to-head, Extra Time Radio is your league this year. Those codes are at the bottom of the screen below. Join, compete against Jason and I. Ben Jada will be there as well. Can you best the experts?
All right, now we're going to get into a little bit of how to build your team. There seems to be two schools of thought here. One is you load your bench up with the cheapest guys you can find and try to put stars in your starting 11.
Well, look, it makes sense. With the expanded rosters going to 18, you still have the same amount of money per roster spot. You're still only going to play 11 guys a week. So that school of thought says spend it on your starters. My recommendation, if you're going to go that way, have 3 decent backups. 3 guys that if there's an injury, if there's some unexpected change, you can slot in. But the rest of those roster spots, go cheapies, spend it on the big guns. Make sure you're getting the points in the lineup itself.
All right, I'm going to take another route here. The way that I'm going is I'm using the bench as a way to potentially build my fantasy team's values. I want guys who are, yes, you need a couple cheap guys, but you want guys who are going to trend upwards and people are going to buy them, increasing their value, increasing the value for your team. The other thing to note here is MLS is a lot deeper these days, so there's not a lot of guys who are guaranteed starters, and if they're out there, you're going to have to pay for them. You have to be able to have a mobile team where on that match night, your team just played CCL the week before. Some guy's sitting. You need to pop someone else in there. You got to have guys on your bench that can play for you in that round. I think when you look at the first 2 weeks of the schedule, you'll notice it. 6 teams on a bye, 3 each of the first 2 weeks. You're going to have to make moves, and you don't want to get that -4 points for using extra transfers in there. All right, Andrew, another thing we're going to look at in this episode is how do you build your team? Who are you building around? Are you building around that key defender or a key attacker? And this brings us to our very first transfer matchup of the year.
Let's get it started. My cornerstone is going to be Aurelian Kalin. I know we gave Graham Zusi the props all last year. Captain Fantasy this, Captain Fantasy that, but Sporting KC's highest, MLS's highest fantasy earner was Aurelian Kalin, and you know he has goals in him. You know that defense has shutouts in him. Without Jimmy Nielsen, I still have faith. I think at $10 million, a full $1 million less than most of your highest priced attacking players, Aurelian Kalin is the perfect place to start that team.
All right, I'll give you some credit there. That does make some sense. I do think, though, that maybe MLS referees will be keeping a closer eye on him. I know Real Salt Lake fans think that he's probably also due for some yellow cards and red cards, which are going to be negative points. I'm going with an attacker, and here's how I'm looking at this. I'm going with Diego Valeri if he's healthy. I think Valeri is going to be your captain fantasy this year with all the tools that the Portland Timbers have for them. He is going to load up on not only goals and assists, but remember, secondary assists count this year as well. That will boost his score even more. And look, if Diego Valeri is not ready to start and go full 90 minutes at the start of the season, I'm just switching him out with his teammate Darlington Nagbe, who I think is just as good and will benefit from being in that playmaking spot for the Portland Timbers. All right, so let us know in the comment section below, are you Team Wiebe here, or are you Team Saghini, or do you have another cornerstone that you're going to build your team around? A couple more things we want to tell you about. Don't forget to check out fantasy.mlssoccer.com for all the news and info on there, including Ben Jada's Fantasy 101. What else can they find there, Andrew?
Well, the Fantasy Chatter's new this year as well. We want to hear from you. We're not the only experts out there. You showed that last year. Give us your thoughts there, and then all the advice articles you need to be the best owner possible.
What else do you need to be the best owner? You need to watch games, and the preseason right now, plenty of games are streaming. I'll be back a little later this week with a video on who and what to watch for in the Desert Diamond Cup out in Arizona. Those games start streaming on MLSsoccer.com this Saturday. That's all we have for the first edition of Starting Lineup. We look forward to giving you more fantasy content than ever throughout the season. Multiple editions of Starting Lineup each week as we go.